thousands mobilized across the Americas to denounce the serious situation that Haiti is experiencing and to reject a possible foreign military intervention. In Turkey, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said he will endorse Sweden's NATO candidacy if the European Union resumes long-stalled membership talks with Ankara. And in Russia, President Vladimir Putin held a meeting with the head of the Wagner PMC, Yevgeny Prigozhin, and the group's commanders to discuss the June 24th armed mutiny attempt. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Thousands of Haitians and citizens of other nationalities mobilized in several cities of the Americas to denounce the grave situation of the country and reject a possible foreign intervention. In the cities of the United States, Brazil, and Canada, Haitian citizens and locals mobilized dressed in white, carrying flags and posters. They denounced the complex crisis the country is going through, especially the high level of insecurity. Demonstrators also rejected the proposal of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who during the CARICOM summit announced, as did the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, the possibility of sending a multinational force as they consider it to be another violation of Haiti's sovereignty. On Sunday, the Institutional Revolutionary Party, the National Action Party, and the Democratic Revolution Party formalized the Broad Front for Mexico before the National Electoral Institute. They assured that it is a process that complies with the law in reference to the surveys carried out by the government. The representatives of the parties emphasized that not only the three political groups are involved, but also more than 100 civil organizations. They described the initiative as an unprecedented action where, for the first time, they admit, they will listen to the civil society to choose the formula with which they want to associate themselves to build the widest opposition front. We go firm and we go strong. There has been a great participation today. We will close the registry of aspirations that there are to participate in the selection of who will be responsible for the construction of the broad front. We go firm, we go very well. A great participation. Today we speak thanks to you. Thanks to your participation. In Guatemala, 15 days after the first round of elections, citizens are growing concerned about the lack of results. The political parties that made it to the second round, UNE and Semilla, began to mobilize in the face of the political and institutional crisis that the Central American nation is going through. The platforms of civil organizations warned of the risk of judicializing the results after the President of the Supreme Court, Silvia Valdez, ordered a further suspension of the officialization of the results. Members of the Semilla movement filed a complaint with the Constitutional Court against the decision of the President of the Supreme Court.
A series of errors have been committed by the President Justice of the Supreme Court of Justice when a decision was made unilaterally in which the hour of positions and the call of the second election round between the two political parties that had the greatest number of votes, among them the Seed Movement political party. Also, make it knowledge that it's as true a degree and not true another, practically resolve substantial issues that are not the forms of the procedures that is established.
Sandra Torres, candidate for the UNE party, said it was essential to give confidence to the process and called for the results to be made official.
We want the Supreme Electoral Tribunal to respect the deadline of the amparo granted by the Constitutional Court. That's what we want, to give peace and confidence in this process to the people who went to vote in a civil manner. That's all we can do. And as a political party, we have every right to demand that the results be published today. We are already 15 days after the 25th of June of the first round. The truth is that in previous electoral processes, we have never seen such a chaotic situation as the one we are living today.
On Sunday, the New Ideas Party of El Salvador made official the candidacy of President Nayib Bukele for the 2024 election. Different sectors say the Constitution prohibits re-election. The voting was carried out in 2 days. On Saturday, residents living abroad voted, and on Sunday, those living in the country did the same. The law obliges the parties that intend to participate in the 2024 election to hold internal elections. The results of the process opened a debate since the Constitution prohibits re-election. However, a resolution of the Constitutional Chamber allows the President to opt for another term. The three candidates for Parliament were also elected. On Monday, delegations of the Colombian government and the National Liberation Army hold a plenary meeting in Havana, Cuba, to discuss the protocols related to this bilateral ceasefire. The peace delegations of the parties will seek to approve the 8th guidelines for the cessation of hostilities between both parties that should enter into force on August 3rd. To this end, a government subcommittee has been working in the Cuban capital on the protocols since last June 19th. According to what was reported in the Colombian media, both parties sealed an agreement on it. The dialogue takes place in the midst of the total peace policy undertaken by Colombian President Gustavo Petro. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. Final preparations are underway in the Lithuanian capital Vilnius as the city gets ready to host NATO leaders and nearly 2,000 journalists for a summit that will take place on July 11th and the 12th. NATO leaders will meet for a summit that will be dominated by Sweden's accession and the alliance's response to Russia's military operation in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will travel to Vilnius to make the case to the 31 NATO leaders that Kiev deserves to join the alliance once the war with Russia is over. Kiev and NATO members in Eastern Europe have pushed for a clear roadmap as they believe that only bringing Ukraine under the alliance's collective defense umbrella will deter Moscow in the future. But key powers, the United States and Germany, have been leery of going much further than a 2008 promise that Ukraine would unite one day without setting a timetable. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said he will endorse Sweden's NATO candidacy if the European Union resumes long-stalled membership talks with Ankara.
Of course, on this occasion, I would like to emphasize a fact. Turkey has been kept waiting at the door of the European Union for more than 60 years, and at the moment, almost all NATO members countries are members of the European Union. I know I'm addressing these countries which are making Turkey wait for more than 50 years at the door of the European Union, and I will address them again in Vilnius.
On his part, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said Sweden's push to join NATO should not be connected to Turkey's stalled EU membership bid.
The other issue is one that is not related to that, and therefore I think it should not be seen as a connected issue. You know that at your last Council, the European Union decided that it would ask the Commission to report to us on the state of relations and how we can improve and advance cooperation between the European Union and Turkey again.
U.S. President Joe Biden kicked off the first full day of his trip to Europe with a visit to London, where he met with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and King Charles III. Both sides played down the Biden's meeting with Sunak, their fifth in as many months, describing it as a continuation of long-running discussions. The meeting comes after the Pentagon announced the United States would provide cluster munitions to Ukraine, a move Sunak has made clear he disapproved of. After spending less than an hour at Sunak's office, Biden headed to Windsor Castle to meet the king, focusing on climate change and the environment. The U.S. president is on a three-nation tour that includes a NATO summit in Lithuania. Greek security forces announced on Monday the rescue of at least 100 migrants from a rocky area of Cape Malea in the Peloponnese Peninsula. Local media reported that the rescue operation began on Sunday after a boat washed ashore. Authorities have not reported any deaths so far, but investigations are continuing. The rescue people have been temporarily housed in schools in the city. The incident comes a month after nearly 600 people died when a fishing boat sank off the coast of Pylos. Members of the Coast Guard and Fire Brigade were involved in the evacuation in preparation for the transfer to land, where they will be taken to the port of Neapolis. On Monday, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov confirmed that Russian President Vladimir Putin held a meeting with the head of the Wagner PMC, Yevgeny Prigozhin, and the group's commanders to discuss the June 24th armed mutiny attempt. The Russian diplomat indicated that the details of the meeting are confidential. Peskov added that Putin listened to the explanations of the commanders and offered them further employment options, highlighting that Wagner's commanders told the Russian president that they are his staunch supporters and are ready to continue fighting for Russia. On the evening of June 23rd, the Wagner Group took control of an army headquarters in Rostov-on-Don, a city in southern Russia, and marched towards Moscow the next day. After talks with Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, who was acting at the behest of President Putin, Prigozhin decided to put an end to the attempted armed mutiny. The first high-level conference of the Forum on Global Action for Shared Development opened on Monday in Beijing, the capital of China. This important meeting, attended by more than 130 countries and international organizations, was inaugurated on Sunday. The day's work will analyze joint strategies to better achieve the 2023 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. The Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands, the former Secretary of the United Nations, and the Director of the Office of the Central Foreign Affairs Commission of the Communist Party of China, Wang Yi, will be present at this session, which received a letter of congratulations from Chinese President Xi Jinping. On Monday, an attack on a kindergarten in China's Guangdong province left at least 6 people dead and 1 injured. The attack took place in the city of Liangjiang, in the south of the Asian country, when a man with a knife attacked a minor and 2 adults before entering the kindergarten. According to a local government spokeswoman, the victims of the attack include a teacher, 2 parents, and 3 students, without giving details of the identities or ages of the deceased. The police spokeswoman said the suspected perpetrator of the attack had been detained and that an investigation into the attack was ongoing. Chinese authorities have tightened security at schools following a series of attacks on educational institutions. Now we have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at TeleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. In India, authorities reported at least 15 people killed in floods and landslides triggered by monsoon rains that battered the northern region. Authorities also said rainfall in the nation's capital was the highest in decades. Roads in several parts of the capital were submerged in knee-deep water as it was inundated with 153 millimeters of rain. With at least another day of heavy rain forecast, authorities have ordered schools shut in New Delhi. Official data shows monsoon rains across the country in the first week of July have already produced about 2% more rainfall than normal. In Japan, at least 2 people died and hundreds of thousands were evacuated in the southwest of the country after heavy rains. 2 70-year-old men have been killed in a landslide in a rural area of Fukuoka Prefecture, firefighters said. The city's disaster management officials said 9 more people had been rescued from another landslide. Local media reported that more than 420,000 people were under immediate evacuation orders due to rising rivers in the southwest of the country. Another 10 people were missing in another landslide in the city of Kurume in the Fukuoka region. 9 of them survived, but 1 man in his 70s died, the city's disaster management officials said. 3 people were also missing after another landslide in the city, bringing temperatures of up to 44 degrees Celsius in the south of the country. The state weather agency reported that the event resulting from a mass of warm air coming from North Africa could last until Wednesday. In the last hours, temperatures in Andalusia exceeded 40 degrees Celsius, and in the main cities of Spain, the early mornings were also warm, with temperatures above 26 degrees Celsius. Well, authorities declare an orange level alert in Andalusia and Castilla-La Mancha due to heat waves. In Uruguay, the government refused to receive the assistance offered by several governments of the region to temporarily solve the water crisis faced by the country. The Argentine head of state, Alberto Fernandez, expressed in recent days his willingness to send a Navy ship with a capacity of 300 tons of water and a mobile drinking water treatment plant to address the drinking water problem in Uruguay. The governments of Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, and Chile have also offered their help to this country, which is currently experiencing the worst drought in the last 50 years. The Uruguayan President Luis Lacalle Pou responded to these expressions of solidarity by rejecting the help, indicating that they are waiting for the rains to come so that the reservoirs can recover their water levels. A Save the Children report shows that Palestinian minors detained by the Israeli occupying army are subjected to grave physical abuse. According to the investigation, 4 out of every 5 children or teenagers detained suffer beatings, mistreatment, and even groping in intimate areas. The report also details that minors are interrogated in unknown locations, without the presence of their parents or legal guardians, often without legal counsel. Food, water, and access to medication are frequently denied. The situation causes the children great stress, and a completely disillusioned generation could be emerging. In Sudan, the Civil Aviation Authority extended the closure of the country's airspace due to the worsening situation and the latest advances of the Rapid Support Forces. The closure was first ordered shortly after the fighting began. Since then, there have been numerous extensions. The latest one is due to end on July 31st. Junta military commanders say the decision will facilitate attacks on rebel positions, especially those entrenched in the capital region. As the situation worsens, Egypt announced that it will be hosting a meeting of Sudan's neighbors to discuss alternatives to the devastating conflict. The leaders of the Economic Community of West African States rejected Nigeria's newly elected President Bola Tinubu as their top official. Tinubu said the fight against coup d'etats is one of his key commitments. Referring to the cases of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea-Conakry, the Nigerian president expressed that they must be firm in democratic matters. Although ECOWAS did not announce new sanctions, Tinubu insisted that they will not allow more coups in the region, because without democracy there is no freedom and there is no rule of law. The summit also debated the creation of an ECOWAS intervention force to fight terrorism or to act against coup attempts. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.